This week on LSMN Overtime, we've got volleyball playoff scores. We'll highlight the biggest football rivalry in LISD, and we'll meet a school police officer who's a big sports fan. Thanks for joining us this episode of LSMN Overtime. I'm Tori Stevens. Let's get right into some football. Last Friday, Marcus and Louisville went head-to-head in the Battle of the Axe. In the first 2 quarters, both teams fought for yards. Louisville's Brent Allen and Damian Martinez had a strong half, but Marcus led at halftime 10-7. In the third quarter, Marcus scored 2 touchdowns in a span of 17 seconds, thanks to Nick Peters and Gavin Ward. This helped propel them into the lead, and eventually, Marcus beat Louisville 40-27. This means the Marauders get to hold on to the Axe for another year, and more importantly, they are now first place in district with a 5-game win streak. LHS is currently sitting at second. Over at the Colony, the Cougars hosted the Lone Star Rangers. The game started off with an early field goal by Edwin Lopez for the Colony. The lead was quickly countered by a touchdown by Lone Star's Evan Stein. The Rangers carried their momentum throughout the game, earning 5 more touchdowns. Lopez added another field goal. Lone Star defeated the Cougars 49-6. Hebron Hawks hosted Plano West. The Wolves started off strong, scoring the first touchdown, but the Hawks fought back with a touchdown by Coda Bridges. Ending the first quarter with a score of 6-14, the Hawks kept going strong, scoring another touchdown. The first half ended with a score of 19-21. The Hawks turned things around in the second half as they scored touchdowns by juniors Lane Haworth and Carson Dean. Hebron defeated Plano West 47-35. Friday night, Flower Mound beat Plano 39-28, bringing up spirits after their last loss to Plano West. Marcus and Louisville have a long-standing rivalry with their yearly Battle of the Axe. Ian Cox has more on that story.
Something that was created by is a collaboration between our student council sponsor here at the time, what is Nancy Jones. She and the student council sponsor over at Louisville High School got together and created this.
And so Miss Jones went to Decatur High School, and Decatur High School did it. So she brought it here for us. So another school did it, and we thought it was a cool idea.
So many times the Battle of the Axe, this game has been the deciding factor for who is the district champion and who gets to go on in the playoffs. And it's just both teams have such a strong history of having great football teams that in addition to being crosstown rivals, it's also a high stakes game. So that adds to the history of the game, but also to the importance of the game every year. I guess the next biggest tradition next to the game itself would be our Blackout Pep Rally. We kill all the lights in the middle of the pep rally, and we have neon lights on. And so it's just a really cool environment for our students, and they always go crazy when that happens. And then we have traditions like the drum line comes down and performs, and the cheerleaders perform, and drill team. And so the pep rally would be one of the biggest traditions that we have in addition to the game itself.
I'll say the favorite tradition now is the old school rules.
Having the axes in the stands.
Oh yeah. The Blackout Pep Rally. Probably the Pep Rally. Yeah. And if we win, that's always the best part.
They usually have like spirit days. I like the spirit days. I think they're fun.
From burning an M in our field at Louisville High School to planes flying over.
Moving on to volleyball, last week ended district play with a 3-way tie. In the first district, 6-6A Flower Mound finished 36-6 overall, while Marcus was 30-7. Hebron finished 4th at 25-18. Last night was round 1 of the state playoffs. Flower Mound went up against Prosper with falling 3-1 to the Eagles. Marcus matched up with McKinney Boyd. The Marauders won 3-0. They'll take on Arlington Martin Friday night. Hebron played against Geyer, winning 3-2. Next, Hebron plays Arlington Friday night. Colony lost to Frisco Reedy 3-0. Recently, it was confirmed by the UIL Council that this year's water polo season has been pushed back until fall of 2022. The original plan was to push it until this current season, but due to COVID, UIL thought it would be safer to further delay the start date. This is sad news for our seniors, but best of luck to next year's water polo teams. Flower Mound's Student Resource Officer is one of the school's biggest cheerleaders. Bishop Franklin has more on that story.
Officer Lovello has been at Flower Mound for 8 years, and he loves showing his school spirit.
My last 14 years have been at Flower Mound Police Department, and this is my 8th school year at Flower Mound High School as the SRO. My favorite sport is baseball. I love baseball, football, basketball, but I would have to go with baseball as the favorite.
Although he has been in COP for 18 years, he has always been a huge sports fan.
I grew up in a sports family, and I really loved playing sports as a kid. And honestly, once I got done with college, I played in adult sports leagues and stuff. So I'm a huge sports guy. Football, it's nonstop action. Playing baseball, I loved it. I loved the strategy, the mental side of the game. But as far as entertainment, definitely football.
Officer Lovello does his best to support school sport activities and interacting with students.
Myself and the other SRO that worked here thought getting involved with the sports and stuff at school was a good way to connect with the kids. So that's kind of the main reason why we're so involved.
Officer LaBelle is really a great guy. He goes to a lot of the football games and hypes up by tweeting out during the game and just getting everyone real excited.
Whenever I go to a sports game here at Flower Mound High School, I always see Officer LaBelle cheering on our players and bringing up team morale.
Flower Mound is proud to have such an involved student resource officer. Reporting for LSMN Overtime, I'm Bishop Franklin.
This season, Colony Boys Cross Country hopes to see their first state appearance since 2015. The cross country team has a motto, small in numbers but big in effort. And so far, they are staying true to their word. Colony Boys have placed 4th in the state qualifiers, and the cross country girls just reached Region 1 championships. Look forward to seeing where Colony's ranks on Friday, November 5th at the UIL State Cross Country Championships. This week on Coach's Corner, Brody Lewis sits down with Marcus volleyball coach Danielle Barker.
Volleyball coach Daniela Barker. Coach Barker, thank you for joining us today, and I want to start off by congratulating you on making the playoffs this year in a very tough district. You've been ranked in the top 10 for state the entire year, but so has Flower Mound and Plano West, who finished number 1 and number 2 in district ahead of you. What has this season been like trying to stay so close with such a difficult competition?
This season's been really high level. We've been playing so many really great teams, and actually it says that Flower Mound and Plano West finished before us, but we actually three-way tied for first, and that's just how the seeding came out. But we all beat each other once and all lost to each other once, and so it's been a crazy district. Our teams are so equally matched, you just don't know what's going to happen any given night, and I think we kind of proved this district, and these girls have been working really, really hard all year.
Mm-hmm. And does your performances against Flower Mound and Plano West this season give you much of a confidence boost going into the playoffs?
Oh, definitely. It really helps the girls actually see their hard work come to light and that they are just as talented, because Marcus gets overlooked all the time. It hasn't been a volleyball powerhouse since 2011, and so sometimes they don't necessarily believe it themselves, but then having a successful year last year kind of helped them believe, and then this year actually seeing that they are just as good as the other teams really gave them that confidence, and I think it'll really roll over into our game tomorrow.
Right. And finally, Tuesday night, you're matching up with another top 10 team in McKinney-Boyd. Does your game plan change much when you get into the playoffs, especially against a top team like Boyd, or is it going to stay more or less the same?
Some will change, some won't. It's do or die. This time before, it's if you win, lose, it's okay. There's still more. There's still a chance, but this is it. And so the preparation's a little bit different. Make sure the girls know that this could be the last. So we want to practice like it is our last, and not have any regrets. But then on the other side, a lot of it's going to be the same, because what we're doing clearly is right. So we don't want to change too much, but let the girls know that, this is it. So make sure that whatever it is, if we're playing one game, if we're playing 7 to the state finals, that we're giving everything we have.
All right, well, that's all the time we have this week. Coach Barker, thank you for joining us, and good luck to you and your team in the playoffs.
Thank you so much.
This week's spotlight goes out to Nick Evers and Walker Mulkey, a quarterback and wide receiver combo out of Flower Mound. Quarterback Evers, a Florida commit, has a 66% completion rate with almost 1,700 yards and 11 touchdowns and only 1 interception. Meanwhile, Mulkey has 46 receptions with 927 yards and 7 touchdowns on the season. The duo combined for 63% of the passing touchdowns this year for Flower Mound. Since Evers is a senior, it's the last year for this killer combination for the Jags. It should be fun to see how they finish the season out. For LSMN Overtime, I'm Brendan Selke.
That's all the sports news for this episode. Join us next time for more information on what's happening with sports around the district. I'm Tori Stevens, and thanks for watching this episode of LSMN Overtime.